Is this my guy, Pharmacist Ben?
I am he.
How are you today?
I'm good. What's going on there, Mr. AJ?
Nothing much. I'm just glad I scared you. You thought I was gonna hit you with a little bit
I did it. I
of
did
AI
exactly.
slop music.
I did. I did. I thought maybe Barry White. Barry White, root not fruit, Barry White style.
You know what? The night is still young.
Oh no, 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 not that. Hey, I'm trying to. Can you hear me? Okay.
I hear you. Okay, it could be a little louder, or yeah, you could be a little louder, but
Is that better?
better,
Better. Okay. All
better.
right. All right.
How was the weekend?
It was a weekend.
Just another weekend, huh?
I don't do that separation. You
Yep.
know,
Every day's
weekday,
a weekend.
weekend, or every day's a weekday.
Every day's a weekday.
One way or another.
I
It's
hear
all
you.
the same, man. It's Sunday, Monday. It's 24 hours. You do your stuff, you do your thing.
But how does your brain function differently on the weekend?
Not at all. I have a little more time to like read, stuff that I like to read, rather than stuff that other people want me to read. A
Uh
little
huh.
bit.
Uh huh.
So, but no difference.
Uh huh.
Same. I don't know. I don't like. I don't think that's a. I think that's a contrived distinction. It's an artificial distinction. Well,
You
who
know,
made
I
that up? Why is Saturday Sunday? Why is it Tuesday Wednesday? Well, what's magic about Saturday Sunday? It's all 7 days. You think it goes Sunday to Saturday, but it doesn't really. You know what I'm saying? The thinking is it's Sunday to Saturday, but it's not. It could be Wednesday to Wednesday.
we
You know,
need Saturn's
like
day. It's
okay,
Saturn's,
that is true. No,
and then
no.
the
Listen,
sun's
do you know that Saturday and Sunday?
and
I
and
bet you.
and, and Wooten's day
I
and
bet you
Thor's
didn't know.
day,
I bet you didn't know Friday though. I bet
Frigga.
you. Let me explain. Yeah, Fria, but yeah, Frigga. But here's why that's important. Why is that important? Yes, you're very. I should have known you would know these things. Knowing you're like me.
I'm
We got these weird
listening.
tastes. But let me tell you. But I'll tell you what you didn't know. Yes, it was Woden's Day, and it was um, uh, two is another Norwegian goddess. Tuesday. I forgot which Norwegian goddess she is, and then Moon Day, obviously. Uh, but the Saturday, the Jewish people they don't know it, but their god is Saturn, Lel. They don't
Mrs.
know
Ben,
that.
please don't get
No,
us
I'm not saying it's
banned.
bad. I'm not saying
Don't
it's
get us
bad.
banned.
That's nothing bad. Saturn is the
Okay.
lawgiver. Saturn is the lawgiver.
You, uh, you
Saturn.
know.
You know these things.
Oh well, I'm familiar, but I want to
Okay.
hear you say it. Okay.
Saturn is the lawgiver. Has rings. The rings represent a boundary. So Saturn has been always been associated with lessons, with time, with trauma, with stressors, not trauma, stressors, pushing against resistances, challenges, obstacles, and it's a very demanding planet, astrologically speaking. It's black. The color is black, right? It's about measurements, numbers, very strict kinds of things. Um, Sunday is the Christian day. Jesus obviously is the sun, representative of the sun, right? But what people don't realize about Friday, you probably knew that, but Friday is Frigga's day, which is Venus. Venus is who the Muslims worship. So you got the Muslim day, you got the Jewish day, and you got the Christian day. Friday,
Hmm.
Saturday, Sunday.
What were you saying about L?
El is the name for Saturn, and El is also the name for God, the Jewish name for God in the Bible, in the Old Testament. And El is a traditional, I think it's Canaanite name for Saturn. But I don't know. This is we're broaching on territory we may not want to really dive too deep into.
No, that's
But I
not.
find it very interesting. It's called astrotheology. They call it astrotheology, and I find that a very interesting subject. But we won't have to go there. We don't have to go
Mhm.
there.
We
It's
can talk
probably
all about it.
what's that preacher guy who yells at me whenever time I talk about Islam? What's his name?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's probably on
Hopefully
now.
he's on. Hopefully he's on tonight.
Yeah. All right.
Mary says a day is a day, but that was before she heard what you had to say about
The
religious
different
holidays.
days.
Yeah,
The
because
different.
yeah,
A day's a day. A day's a day.
So, speaking of a day as a day,
Yeah.
how do you feed your brain day by day?
Like with food and supplements,
Just in general, I mean, whatever you
or with
want.
that? No, well, information's food. I consider information to be food.
Okay.
So I eat information, and I metabolize information. And just like food gets incorporated in your body, information gets incorporated into your body or your brain, or maybe your body. Your body's kind of like a brain. Do you know your body's a brain head to toe through the connective tissue?
Mm.
The body is an information processor, not just the brain and the head. The connective tissue is piezoelectric, and of course you have the nervous system too. But the brain, the body's one big information processor. That's what the brain is. It's an information processor. An incredible information processor. The body's an information processor. And in fact, there's more connections from the body to the brain than there is to from the brain to the body. So all of this is to say that information, which is, a type of substance that gets into your body, can be integrated, can be metabolized and integrated like nutrition, like food. So when you say feed your brain, I feed it every day through information. But if you're talking about food and supplements, that's different.
Before you move on, the concept that I'm familiar with is thoughts are things, and then
Sure.
you've expressed in the past that the brain can't see; it relies on
senses,
the rest of the body and the senses in order to process.
Senses.
And
Yeah, the
even
body's a sense. The body is one sensory organ. It's a tactile sensory organ. All of it. Everything's touch, by the way. Even scent is touch. Eyesight is touch. Ear is touch. Or hearing is touch. Touch is touch. What's what I'm missing here? Smell is touch. It's all touch. Do you realize that? All is a sense of touch. What happens when you smell is a molecule touches a receptor. When you see, a photon touches a receptor. When you taste, a food molecule touches receptors. All touch. Everything's touch. The body's one big touch sensory perceiving device, and then it processes it as information, and then the organism survives. I mean, that's a lot of evolutionary biology that people don't want to hear. But the bottom line is information fine tunes the neurology and the connective tissue, probably the whole body, but definitely the connective tissue and the neurology are change, neuroplasticity, they call it in terms of the nerves. And the connective tissue stores information. People on massage tables, they'll cry when they get a massage. As the masseuse is pressing on the connective tissue, emotions and traumas are being released. One of the reasons why older people, and by older people I mean me and you, why we hunch, not us, we're not hunching, but as we age, we tend to hunch. It's because trauma is constantly being accumulating in the connective tissue, and finally, by the time you're the age of 40, 50, 60, 70, everything's contracted. Dr. Wilhelm Reich called that armoring. Why you call it body armoring? I'm not sure how we got on this digression, because you were just asking me what I ate, I ate for my brain.
It's not really a digression. It's
okay.
It's certainly what we're talking about.
Okay, so
and your example of the masseuse, Tim from Rooted Somatics, he comes on our show every now and then. He talks about giving people, I forget what's that called, but he does like a real thing, and people start crying and releasing stuff.
Connective tissue stores information, and the neurology shapes the neuroplasticity according to the information. And so the body changes with information, like as food. Information gets metabolized like food, and then gets incorporated into the body in this way. But you're talking about supplement or nutrition. What do I eat for my brain, right?
Yes, well, we were going to get there, but what you mentioned is very important too.
Very important. I'm not marginalizing that. But as far as nutrition goes, fats are the most important thing for the brain. Electrolytes and B vitamins also. And they're not fats, but electrolytes and B vitamins. And also some accessory nutrients. Vitamin C is always good, but we're going to talk about creatine today.
We're gonna, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
don't gun on me.
I'll steal your thunder a little bit here. Creatine also has really interesting brain health benefits. And then there's what you don't want to do, and that's sugar. Sugar is the brain's mortal enemy. That's what Alzheimer's disease is. It's a sugar issue. It's a sugar disease, among other things. But one of the things it is it's a sugar issue. So sugar is the brain's mortal enemy, and also lack of stress and lack of sleep, because the brain recovers during sleep. It cleans itself out during sleep. There's also a phenomenon. I don't know if you know this. You probably do, because you know a lot of stuff. Props to AJ, everybody on Rumble, everybody on YouTube. AJ is one smart cookie. Really is. Really are, AJ. So grain.
Thank you, Pharmacist Ben. But
you're welcome. Grain brain. You know about grain brain or gluten intolerance of the brain?
Fill me in, please.
You can have gluten intolerance of the brain. Gluten is a sticky substance. It's a reactive protein. Sticky. Colloquially we'll say sticky, but it's reactive. It gums things up, right? And that's why it causes a problem at the level of the intestine. It gums up the intestine. It causes inflammation. It's a sticky, nasty molecule. Not nasty, but it's used in cooking because it's so sticky. You could get actually straight gluten for baking and gluten-rich bread, etc. It has a sort of rubbery quality about it. That same kind of stickiness can happen in your brain when you eat gluten. So you can actually you can damage what's called the blood-brain barrier with gluten. And gluten-like substances and gluten antibodies. I don't know if it's necessarily gluten that gets in the. I have to do a little research on that, but the gluten certainly initiates the reaction. So it can affect the brain as well. So in addition to the things you want to do, are the things you don't want to do. Sugar, and if you have any kind of digestive issues, you want to work on that, leaky gut, and then also things like gluten. And I hesitate to pick on gluten because gluten is kind of like the boogeyman. It's like what we focus all of our hate on. It's like insects. It's like cockroaches. We focus all our hate. I always wondered all the hate energy a cockroach must get. If they could feel hate, a little cockroach he's just living his life.
And the ants just
ants get by. The cockroach, man, the poor cockroach. I think you told me that this. We used to, when I lived back east in New York when I was growing up, you turn on the lights and all of a sudden, I learned. You never get used to that.
No, I have a friend called boric acid. So.
Oh yeah, does that work for cockroaches? I didn't know that back then. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I
know it works for ants. Does it kill them, or they just don't like to go near it?
They take it back to the hive, and then it kills everything.
So they have a bunch of dead cockroaches everywhere. Behind your wall, you got piles of dead cockroaches.
Yes, in the wall. If you ever do construction on the house,
or in the couch, where the springs are.
Come on, man. You know what? Yeah, see, this is the pharmacist in you. You like blood and you like all these substances. Okay, so omega-3s are important for the brain.
The fats. Omega-3s are definitely important. Vitamin E is very important. Vitamin D plays a role.
You mentioned butyrate in the past.
Man, you are going to start hearing about butyrate. And you can say I heard it here first, because I've been talking about it for years. That stuff is absolutely mind-blowing. I think it's the most powerful and underappreciated molecule. I don't say in the body, but yeah, maybe even in the body. It's just so multifunctional, and its main role is to help us help us survive. So it kicks in when you're fasting. When you're fasting, you get more butyrate. Butyrate helps you, gives you a sense of satisfaction, satiety, and enjoyment of life. Butyrate's great for enjoyment of life, all the good stuff in life, butyrate. And it's in butter. That's the activing where we get the name butter from. Butyrates are important for the digestive system, important for the immune system. They're important for anabolism, building, repair. They're anti-inflammatory. They're important for brain health. Super important for colon health, for colon cancer, for prevention of colon cancer. Just an incredible molecule. Not only that, and I'll tell you why it's incredible here in a second. Not only that, but derivatives of butyrate are used in bodybuilding because for its anabolic properties, or also for sleep. Derivatives of butyrate are also used for sleep. Gamma amino butyric acid, butyrate and butyric acid are the same thing. This is GABA, right? And GABA is a incredibly valuable brain chemical. GABA. It helps you, it relaxes you, especially in our crazy excitotoxin dense world that we live in, where we get excitotoxins in foods and even excitotoxins, psychologically. Our brains are hyperexcited. And so between foods and hyperexcitability, GABA is incredibly important, and that's gamma aminobutyrate. So butyrate is just crazy valuable. I'm a huge fan.
Well, you talk about fats being important, but what about fried fats?
That's the thing about nutrition, and I know you're just kind of trying to poke the bear here a little bit, but here's the thing about nutrition. The more good something is, the more bad it's going to be. Because what makes something good is energy. And while potential energy is really good and can be used, once that energy is expended, and you have a carcass, essentially, molecular carcass, that just as good as that molecule was as a source of energy, as a storage capacity, a storage device for energy of a specific frequency, that's how bad it is when it's empty. And that's oils. That's oil. Oils are incredibly valuable. They're so valuable that nature only includes them in very tiny amounts. You don't have any large fatty acids concentrates in nature, like a ultimate EFA, those concentrates, or like an Udo's blend. Those doesn't exist in nature. Nature has droplets of oil in the seeds. And that's why you got to be really careful about how you derive oils, because you're trying to derive large quantities of oil from tiny little quantities in seeds. Now you have, lots of seeds, of course, so you can get lots of oil, but each little seed requires some intensity to release the oil, and you're only going to get a drop. Are you with me? Now, these oils are super valuable. Why? Because they're trapped sunlight for the seed. The seed is trapping the sun in the oil. So when you eat oil, you're eating trapped sunlight in tiny amounts. But those tiny amounts, it's one thing in tiny amounts, but when you're crushing a bunch of seeds or using industrial processing techniques to derive the oils, it's a problem. You got to be very careful with the oils. On top of that, when you're cooking the oils, or you're in the factory making bread or crackers or cereals or cakes or all the things we're making, let alone the stuff in the restaurants, the French fries and that kind of thing. By the time an oil is used, it's so broken down, it's so distorted, it's so twisted that it creates a major danger in the body. Why? Because the inflammatory system in the body, you have an inflammatory system, a protective system, is grounded by fats, fatty molecules. The fatty molecules play a major role in the inflammatory system. Major. I'm not going to get into too much of the chemistry, but it's huge. And when you put distorted fats into the system, you throw everything off. And it creates a big time inflammatory environment, microenvironment in the body. Huge cellular, at the cell level, at the cell membrane level, because fats are so important, you wreak havoc on the body. And any biochemist, anybody who understands chemistry or organic chemistry will tell you don't need to have studies and articles in the newspaper and in the news. And you're starting to hear it's now a meme about vegetable oils, right? I knew it. Anybody who knows anything about chemistry can tell you. When you remember those bonds, where's my Marty the molecule? I lost Marty.
I didn't want to mention on Friday that it's actually Barry the back scratcher, but
no, it's Maury the massager.
Oh, that's okay.
No, I'm already the molecule. So these bonds, it's all about these bonds. These bonds represent energy. When they're broken, they represent distorted energy, a distorted energy field, and those get integrated into chemical reactions, and it throws the entire system off. So you got to be really, really careful. The reason I'm saying this is because you asked about when you asked about oils. The more powerful something is, and these are very powerful, these oils, the more problematic it is when they're broken, when they're distorted.
When they're a carcass, are they looking for anything, or are they just there?
Sometimes they're looking, and sometimes they're there. If they're looking, they can steal, and they can cause mutations and disturbances in structures like cell membranes. That's one thing that can happen. Or if they're broken, the body will try to integrate them into chemistry or into structures, and then you have messed up chemistry and messed up structures. So both can happen.
Pharmacist Ben, adenosine triphosphate.
Yes.
They're saying that
Who's they?
The article that I shared,
Okay.
that creatine is helpful because the phosphorus.
Yes.
Creatine is willing to give up a phosphorus.
Very nice. Very nice. You're becoming quite the chemist there. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Remember we talked about adenosine triphosphate last time, right?
Okay.
So yes, creatine has an ability to turn the two phosphate bonds, diphosphate, into triphosphate. So it's a way of making triphosphate from diphosphate. Do you remember how that all works? The diphosphate, triphosphate.
You can refresh our
memory. It's all about these little bonds here, right?
I
think I lost you.
I'm here.
It's all about these little bonds, right? So we have two bonds. That's diphosphate. That doesn't do any action. But if you stick a third bond here, that third bond becomes a source of energy. Remember how two magnets stuck together and then they separate out? Remember we talked about that?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that bond, that triphosphate bond, that's your energy bond. Diphosphate's doesn't do anything. Triphosphate does. Hang on a quick sec. Creatine turns di into tri. So you have that free bond. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Okay. Is this the same mechanism as the reason why people use creatine for muscle building?
Yeah.
Is it exactly the same? Right. That's exactly why.
That's exactly why. Because fast-growing tissue, hard-working tissue, is burning through ATP. And after workout, you totally burn through ATP. So your creatine acts like a battery, like a reserve battery. Like you ever travel with your iPhone and your iPhone goes out, you have a little charger, a little reserve battery you can use.
Yes, I got a pink one Becca gave me.
That's creatine. You with me?
Interessant. So how come this is just a new thing that they're talking about?
I told you it's not a new thing. I told you the story. Don't make me tell you my stories again. We knew about creatine.
But you knew it for the brain when you were hustling creatine?
I knew about it for everything because I'm a pharmacist. But I was selling it to gyms when I was hustling creatine. We were selling to gyms. It wasn't, people still weren't using it as a nootropic. It's great for your skin, for your nervous system. All fast-moving tissue is gonna benefit from creatine, and any electrical tissue. It's important for the energy in the brain. It's also important for neurotransmitters, for dopamine. It's just incredibly, incredibly, incredibly valuable. It's completely non-toxic. It helps hydrate cells. One of the things that happens as we get older is our cells aren't as hydrated. It's an osmotic ingredient. This is above and beyond its role as a source of phosphate bonds. The phosphorus actually is hygroscopic. It pulls water into cells. And do you remember the mitochondria? We talked about phosphorylation. I don't know if you remember this.
Okay.
Phosphorylation. Remember that whole thing? Phosphorus. Anywhere we got phosphorus, creatine's going to help, which is ATP, the mitochondria, the skin, the brain. Anywhere where we have the movement of electricity that's dependent on phosphorus, which is Makes it incredibly valuable as an anti-aging supplement. I'll tell you what, if you're interested in anti-aging nutrition, you want a teaspoon of creatine every day. It's non-toxic. There's zero side effects. It's cheap, relatively tasteless. It's a no-brainer. And if you're working out, it'll make you stronger. It doesn't make you stronger, by the way. It helps you lift more weight. You get
yourself tired.
Your muscles get they're more your muscle cells are more efficient, put it that way. So you can lift more weight. And that gets you stronger.
Pharmacist Ben, before I ask my question,
and by the way, you can use creatine topically too.
Okay. Does the creatine ATP phosphorus connection cause problems for kidney disease?
No, not at all. Not at all. Creatine probably benefit your kidneys. Although I don't know, your doctor they may see phosphorus and they may freak out, but no, it helps the body utilize phosphorus.
Okay, I have a question. So, what would if I were making a creatine?
And it's found in high protein foods too, by the way. There's no plants. If you're vegetarian, you're not going to get creatine from your food. It's not in plants.
Where do they source creatine from?
Beef. Oh, they make it synthetically. It's a tripeptide, very simple molecule. They just synthesize it, but if you want to eat it, if you don't want to supplement with it, and you can't really get the amount that you get with supplementation, but if you want to support your supplementation, beef is the best. Red meat. Red meat has the highest amount of creatine of any food. Salmon, the kind of fish that go against the stream, muscular fish, salmon, tuna, that kind of thing. They're going to have some creatine too.
Mm-hmm. Tuna's too fat for me.
Is it?
Well, it's a big fish, huge.
It's a big fish. You don't like tuna fish?
Tuna's too big. I don't eat it.
Oh, okay. All right.
I do eat salmon.
I like salmon too.
Tuna's too big. Okay. So if I were making a creatine supplement, what cofactors should be in this supplement?
Probably maybe phosphorus. I never thought. Oh, a little bit of sugar. Insulin spikes will help creatine get into cells. So you want to spike your insulin just a tiny bit. The meals, fruit juice, that kind of thing. You don't want to go crazy, but just spike your insulin a little bit.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm surprised you didn't say vitamin C. You typically, when you're talking about
vitamins, but I'm not saying vitamin C is not important, but it's not actually a cofactor for creatine.
Okay. If I were making a creatine supplement, what should be in the package?
Depends on what you're trying to do. Is it for the brain? Is it for bodybuilders? Is
the brain, let's say.
Nootropics, vitamin E, magnesium. You can't really put creatine's water soluble. You can't put too much fat, but if you're going to mix it up, I guess DHA or EPA or omega-3, alpha linolenic acid. What else for the brain? Carnitine, probably for the brain. Alpha lipoic acid, maybe for the brain. Zinc, iodine, selenium. A bunch of them for a brain supplement.
Mm-hmm. And then before the show, I was noshing on some coconut macaroons. And
not great.
Becca
You're not going to tell me that's a health food. You're not going to say that's a health food.
Becca was giving me a hard time because I said, these coconut macaroons, I got my MCT. I got MCT. And you know what she said immediately?
What?
She said, well, all the sugar is canceling out your MCT.
I went through a macaroon phase. Many years ago.
I get my macaroons every holiday.
Big ones, one big one, or a bunch of little ones?
I got a bunch of yeah.
They make them both ways.
Not that I eat sugar.
That's a lot of sugar in a macaroon.
Is it? Becca, you're on screen, by the way. I don't know if you know that you're on screen. Hey, she's muted. Yeah,
that's a macaroon.
That's not nice.
It's not nice. Okay.
Not nice.
Okay, but she was talking about my macaroons, and she said immediately, "But the sugar is canceling out any benefit you get from the MCT." I said,
There's no MCT left in macaroons.
No,
No, you can't. Maybe a trace amount. It's
Dr. Google said there is.
No, a trace amount maybe. MCTs are. You know what? Now that I think about it, MCTs are also good for the brain. MCTs are amazing. Along not quite as amazing as butyrate. Oh, I was going to tell you why butyrate is so amazing. Butyrate is an SCT. SCT. And MCTs have their own characteristics. SCTs have their own. Nobody talks about the SCTs. You have long chain fatty acids. That's your main ones. That's the ones that are in the foods. Omega-3 and omega-6 and polyunsaturated ones you hear about. Those are the main ones. Those are long chain fatty acids. And by long chain, without getting into too much chemistry here, we're talking like 16 or so carbons of like a piece. Then you have the MCTs, which are the medium chains. And there's about 4 of those or 5 of those, I think 4. And those are between 8 and 12 pieces. Then you have the short chains. And the short chains, there's 3 main ones. They're made in the intestine. Nobody talks about them. One is called acetic acid, which is vinegar. And you'll hear sometimes people will smell like vinegar sometimes. They'll have a vinegar smell. Or they'll have a sweet smell that's a derivative of vinegar. And that has to do with metabolic issues inside the body. That's made in the back in the.
Is that good or bad? This
smell. It smells bad, definitely bad. But I'll tell you. But I want to tell you a little bit what makes these things so fascinating. So that's one of them. Then there's another one called propionic acid, and that's another one. You don't hear too much about them. That one's a little bit inflammatory. I don't want to get gross here, but for people who are estheticians out there in esthetician land or in Restream land, if they pop a zit and there's a smell that comes out, that's usually the propionic acid from the bacteria. Acne bacteria are called propionic bacteria. Sometimes you'll see propionum after in a bacteria name. They make propionic acid. Bacteria make these, by the way, in the gut. That's how these things are made.
Did you say smell a zit?
Yeah, smell a zit. You don't know this because you don't know.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hey, we're all adults here.
Okay.
But the third one, the third short chain fatty acid is butyrate. Butyric acid. That's the third short chain fatty acid. And that's made in the gut by bacteria. But what makes these things so interesting, the short chain fatty acids, all of them, and you'll recognize when I tell you how they work, it's really kind of interesting. These short chain fatty acids are both water soluble and fat soluble. Fatty acid, right? So you think it's fat. It's going to be fatty. Because it's so short, it has an ability to dissolve into water, which makes it very valuable because it can do both. It can enter into cells very efficiently, and it can act electronically. It can deliver electrical energy. It's got some very interesting properties that we use to clean our counters. That's how vinegar works to clean your counters. Vinegar is acetic acid. It's a 5% solution of acetic acid, standard vinegar, and it cleans your counters because it's water soluble, so it rinses right off, but it's fat soluble, so it gets rid of dirt. It makes the perfect cleaner, that water soluble, fat soluble quality. And in fact, in skincare, some women may recognize this, there are molecules called alpha hydroxy acids, which are very similar to these kinds of short chain fatty acids, and they're used in skincare. They actually revolutionized skincare 35 years ago because of their ability to be both water soluble and fat soluble, which is a very unusual characteristic for a fat that dissolves in water.
Okay. So explain to me just briefly, like in 1 minute.
Are we going to take questions?
We got plenty of questions. Why is the long chained molecule not broken down into? Okay, 2 things. Why is the long chain like your omegas? Why are they not broken down into something smaller?
Well, they function as they are broken down. They are broken down. but not all of them are broken down. Yeah, they break down for sure, but not all of them are broken down. They don't always break down. They can be used as is. They're not like incredibly long. Like relatively speaking, they're long compared to the short and the medium, and they are broken down. They're constantly broken down, but not all of them are broken down.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Also, just my last little tidbit. You were talking about bacteria breaking things down.
Yeah. When did today? I don't
A
remember
couple
saying that
seconds
today.
ago. Made in the gut because
I said bacteria make the short chain fatty acids. I didn't say breaking. I don't think I said anything about breaking.
Well, how are they making the short chain fatty acids?
In their own little bacterial bodies. They take fats and they take little components, and bacteria make stuff.
Okay, so they're
like little factories.
They're using some component to synthesize.
Yeah, of course. Carbons, absolutely. Smaller pieces of fats are strung together.
And energy is expended during this process. Is that?
Of course, absolutely, yes.
I was watching something and it made me think of you. I was watching they were talking about planting a log in the ground and saturating it with water, and that being a source of fodder for your plants.
Absolutely.
Because
everything breaks it down. Bacteria break it down, fungus break it down, release the carbon into the soils, all the molecules, all the polysaccharides, the lignins, all the minerals, they all go into the soil. It's all one big compost pot. All of planet Earth, not all of planet Earth really, but the topsoil, everything on the topsoil. That's where everything is. The action on Earth is in the topsoil. Guess who said that first?
Who said
Dr.
that?
Wallach.
Really?
Well, he was one of the first big guy to really talk about a lot. I'm sure people said it before, but he was one of the first guys to really talk about it. It's that topsoil. That's where all the action is. That's where all the life force is. And the ocean and the topsoil. That's where all of the life force on planet Earth is concentrated. Maybe not all of it, but the majority of it on the topsoil and in the ocean.
You know, he also said, just based on what we said earlier, he also said, a stick of butter a day keeps the doctor away.
He liked to get people's attention.
He did.
Dial MD for murder. I was like, no. I got friends. I got doctors. I got doctor friends.
Okay. Kids today on Rumble, heart-lung transplant recipients have received memories of their donors.
Yeah, that's true. Heart transplants. I didn't know heart-lung, but I know heart. There's a lot of famous stories. There's a book. There's an organization called Heart Math that talks all about the heart and all of the amazing things of the heart. Greg Braden talks about it. There's another book I had, a guy named Paul Pearsall. I forgot the name of it. And he has a lot of stories like that. That's very well-known phenomenon. Or they'll eat the same food that their donor, they'll have a love for a certain food that their donor had. Their donor also loved, that kind of thing. Okay, what's up?
So the first question is,
yes.
The first question is best diet for destroyed thyroid, hypothyroidism.
Well, there's no destroyed thyroid, first of all. Your thyroid is being attacked by antibodies. That's called autoimmune disease of the thyroid. And the only thing a doctor can do is give you a thyroid hormone. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. Giving hormones defeats the purpose of a hormone. A hormone is supposed to fluctuate, especially thyroid hormone in response to the environment. If the best strategy you have is just to give a hormone, so there's a steady state or there's a drop and then there's a spike and then there's a drop, you don't really understand the body. And unfortunately, we live in a world where medicine doesn't really treat the body right. The problem's the gland. So let's figure out what the heck is going on in the gland. Why is the gland being attacked? Well, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean.
Why is the gland being attacked? Most hypothyroidism is Hashimoto's. Why is the gland being attacked? Also, the thyroid is responsive to the adrenal glands, as well as the metabolic system and the digestive system. So it's the triangle. And until we understand this triangle, we can work underneath. We're going to have hypothyroidism, which, as I've said many times, is one of the most common health challenges human beings face. Hypothyroidism. It's significant. And thyroid medication, which is hormones, thyroid hormones, we'll say, is every year in the top 10 best-selling drugs, sometimes in the top 5 best-selling drugs. It's a very common issue. And it's still probably underdiagnosed. If you have any other health challenge that's non-triangular or not related to the triangle, you have a thyroid issue. They underlie them all. You don't need to be tested. And there's nothing you do about it anyway, except work on your digestion, your blood sugar, and your adrenal health.
I think this woman's not really understanding the triangle. She says, what causes this disease? Stress, soy, x-rays. I eat very super clean and green, no junk. Was an athlete, had dramatic things happen, and then thyroid dysfunction. So much you can't eat. I don't eat red meat and more a vegan.
This has got to be a new listener. You got to be a new listener. These are everything you just said, everything that person just said. If she listened to us for a week or a couple weeks, a few weeks, 3-4 weeks, she'd see why she's completely missing the boat. Completely missing the boat on how the thyroid works. I'm not blaming her because nobody knows. Nobody talks about it. But everything she said is irrelevant. And by the way, there's no such thing as eating clean. That doesn't exist. And so people say I'm sick, but I'm eating clean. That's not a thing. So where there's smoke, there's fire. Number one. So if you're hypothyroid, something's up. Okay, it's not hypothyroid dust coming on your head from an angel. It's something. And that's really important. All of our health challenges are reactions. They're all reactions. Okay? All our health challenges are reactions. What is a reaction? A response to a action. Mm-hmm. So if you have a reaction, you got to have an action. and unless you think the action is somebody sprinkling dust on your head or a little elf shooting an arrow at you, obviously there's something going on, And I'm not saying that to blame anybody because, you can't blame the person who has a health challenge. I'm saying it to give you your power back. They have to take
their power back. They
absolutely
need to take their power.
Take your power back. Yep. Yes.
You're in control.
Yes.
You're driving the ship.
You're driving the ship. If it's an elf shooting arrows at you, what are you going to do? The elf shot an arrow at me. What can I do? But if it's something I'm doing, now we have control. That's what we want to do for our listeners, for our customers, our clients. We want to show them where this is happening, where it's starting in the body and how it's happening. And that's why I take great pains to explain everything. I spend so much time, we only get one question sometimes in an hour. And I'm sure on Coast to Coast, there's probably people on hold, screaming, just get to the point
already. That's right.
I can only imagine, but I don't care because I don't like this idea that we're told what to do instead of we're told how to do it. And instead of being told what's going on, we just have this kind of mentality, you fix me. And I don't want to be a fixer. I don't want to fix anybody. That's not my job. I want to help you fix yourself. Mm-hmm. That gives you the power back. And any good healthcare professional, that's what they should want, to get out of the way and let the patient do it. And that's why I talk to you about how all these things work. So hypothyroidism, back to our listener, I eat clean. That's not a thing. So don't even say that. Don't think that because that disempowers you. Then if you eat clean and you're great, then what else can I say? There's nothing else to do. But if you say, the question is, where can I find things? Where can I fix? Not everything I'm doing right. What am I doing wrong? So hypothyroidism is most of it is autoimmune, which means there's distortions in the thyroid, which come in from the blood, which implicate the digestive system and the metabolic system. There's also a link between the adrenal glands and the thyroid, and hypercortisol, excess cortisol or chronic cortisol secretion will eventually suppress the thyroid. So between the metabolic system, the digestive system, and the adrenal glands, that's where your hypothyroidism comes from. So focus on food and forget eating clean, leaky gut, histamines, food allergens. There's a lot of things that could cause it. Things that are good foods, supposedly good foods. FODMAPs, if you have any kind of digestive health issues, FODMAPs foods can do it. And then metabolic issues, blood sugar issues, insulin resistance and hypothyroidism go hand in hand. Hyperglycemia and thyroid problems go hand in hand. And then the adrenal issues. It's no accident, by the way, that most hypothyroid patients are women, which tells you there's an estrogen connection. Estrogen is an adrenal hormone. So there's a lot you can do for the thyroid, but not by working on the thyroid.
Understood. And for anybody who did not understand what he said, go to triangleofdisease.com and learn some more, and then go to rootnotfruit.com and get the first two protocols to help fix your gut, and the gut immune repair protocol, which includes I-26, nightly essence, ultimate enzyme, ZRadical, and the metabolic reset protocol, which includes sweeties, ultimate niacin plus, and ultimate selenium, and don't forget your healthy body start pack 2.0. So, and if someone brought you here, they know exactly how to get you the products the freshest possible and at the best prices. So make sure you tune in with the folks who invited you. Kimberly says, my husband has nephritis. His GFR continues to get worse. His doctor discovered he has proteinuria and put him on losartan and amlodipine. They would let him stop the amlodipine. They wouldn't let him stop the amlodipine. His blood pressure is 90/62. He couldn't function, extremely lightheaded. So I had him drink pickle juice to bring it up. We stopped the amlodipine and his blood pressure is normal. I put him on a heart and brain pack, Ultimate Daily Classic, about a week ago. He saw the doctor on March 10th, starting the losartan, and his protein checked again on the 27th. The doctor said his kidneys are stable, but his calcium is high. She never mentioned the fact that his GFR went from 45 to 41 in 2 weeks' time. Are we doing the right thing?
Yeah, totally.
How can we decrease the protein but increase his GFR? I was hoping
all of that's a kidney disease, which they know, and the main cause of kidney disease is blood sugar, dysglycemia. How old is the person?
Doesn't say.
Height to weight. I would be treating that person like a diabetic, even if they have not been diagnosed as a diabetic. That's really important. Normal, so-called normal blood sugar levels does not liberate you from the implications of dysglycemic related kidney disease. Kidney disease that's related to messed up blood sugar. Just because you're normal doesn't mean that you don't have it.
Pharmacist Ben, I appreciate that. And if you need help, make sure you email questions@dailywithdoc.com and we will go more in detail, or call the number 855-949-3377. Katie says, I've been taking longevity for over a decade and trust that it's the best supplement for my children. I find myself needing some answers regarding beyond Osteo-fx consumption by children. Mine are 22 months and 3 years old. A pediatric GI doctor is advising to discontinue the beyond Osteo-fx because, number one, it contains strontium. A mineral has not been tested for safety in children.
Hang on. That's silly. So hang on a second. I didn't hear the first part. So start from the whole thing.
She's given her kid Osteo-fx, which
you do whatever you want to do. I wouldn't pay any attention. That's silly.
I'd probably do kids toddy.
You can do whatever you want. There's no problem with strontium. It hasn't been tested. Look, the doctor means well. Let's put it that way. The doctor means well. He's very concerned. That's nonsense stuff. Strontium is a essential nutrient. Strontium is in food. Strontium is in the bone. It's part of the bone matrix. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, but I'm not going to argue with somebody.
Calcium levels are very high and could exceed safe limits for kids.
I don't. That's silliness. It's silliness. I can't respond to silliness.
Okay.
Ask him about the mechanism. Ask the silly man about the mechanism.
Okay. You know.
Hey, how does that work?
You know what was really funny about this. Healthy kids. This is directly from the doctor. If you want to use a multivitamin, you can use a standard children's multivitamin. Look one that's specifically made for your child's age group.
All right, look, Agent, there's people everywhere say
Flintstones.
We have Flintstones. Flintstones. Vitamin. So look, what do you do? Kids really don't need like you said, the toddy. They don't need Osteo-fx really, but it's not gonna change his life. Like it's gonna kill him or anything. One of the things about the body is if you don't need something, it's not necessarily going to use it. You might excrete it. I don't know. Calcium's a little bit different, but I don't think you're gonna have to worry about calcium in the. Yes, hypoglycemia probably plays a major role in kidney disease, and not just hyper and hypo. I'd say dysglycemia rather than hypoglycemia. The dysregulated blood sugar. But back to the kids, it's hard. I can't respond to silly things that doctors say. I don't want to do that. They don't really necessarily need the Osteo-fx. It's more for people who are metabolically out of balance. One of the things about kids up until about the age of, and you can relate to this, people our age can relate to this, right around 28, something happens. I call it hitting the wall. It happens to everybody. Right around 28. When you're a kid, you can smoke and drink and go eat McDonald's and French fries and then go play football the next day and be hungover and, be out there. The body is up to the age of 28, 27, 28. You can do incredible things. The body is prime. The question is what happens after that. Now, these days, unfortunately, people are still, we've managed to override or even the body's incredible resilience at age 28 with the kind of foods we're eating. So now you have childhood diabetes and obesity, et cetera. But you remember when you were growing up how you could go out partying and tearing it up and then go play ball or go to school or go to work the next day and not even think anything of it. And then right around 28, you hit the wall. And that's when really you really want to do it your whole life, but you really, with great vigilance, you want to start a nutritional supplement program, start to change the way you live your life, lower the amount of toxins you put in your body, etc. You can't really compare somebody, for the most part, who's young and vital with somebody who's older. And by older, I mean over the age of 28, after you hit the wall. Do you remember hitting the wall, AJ? Anybody out there listening, do you remember hitting the wall? Everybody will tell you right around their 27, 28-ish year, you couldn't do the same things anymore. It was so long ago.
I was playing high-level basketball into my 40s.
You might have been playing high-level basketball, but you still couldn't go out drinking the night before and play high-level basketball the way you could when you were 14 or 15.
But I remember in my 20s, I remember we had a basketball game, and I was hungry, and we went to Burger King.
Yeah.
And I ate like 4 burgers.
Yeah.
The guys were like, "What are you doing, man?"
I had a friend before I played baseball. He said we have to go to McDonald's and have a bunch of Big Macs before we played baseball. And we were sitting and eating a bunch of Big Macs and fries. And I was skinny and I was strong and I could hit a ball and I didn't feel like crashing after I ate the Big Macs. But then when you're 28, 27, 28, you hit the wall. Everybody out there, I'm sure, recognizes that.
Yeah, Pharmacist Ben. Becca, Ruth Ellen, Keely, you ladies have any questions for Pharmacist Ben before I allow him to enjoy his evening? Becca's got a question. Let's bring her on. How come I can't bring her on the screen? What is she hiding? Becca, get on the screen.
I'm trying.
How come I don't see her?
Oh, there you go.
I don't know. Trying to figure it out. Okay, so Pharmacist Ben, we were talking about the brain and how cholesterol is good for it.
Yeah.
Other than eggs,
it's not that cholesterol is good for the brain. That's not how you want to say it. Cholesterol plays a very important part of brain chemistry.
Okay.
It's not like you're going to eat cholesterol and it's going to go into your brain. Yeah.
Well, no, test goes through the liver, and the liver
all
creates
all
its
that,
thing.
all,
And
all that,
yeah.
all that. Exactly. So to say cholesterol is good for the brain, that's not quite, doesn't quite say it. It's more like cholesterol plays an important part of brain health.
Okay.
The cholesterol
But
molecule.
we can say
And not
eggs
just
are
the
good for
brain.
the
You can say eggs are good for the brain. Yes, you can say that. Absolutely.
What other foods can we say would be good for the brain?
Berries,
Okay.
fatty fish, quality oils. Quality, it's a little tricky, but quality oils. Seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds.
Macaroons.
Yeah, macaroons, definitely. Chocolate covered. Chocolate covered, though. Macaroons.
A child.
Yeah. Anything with pigments in it, color stuff, fatty stuff, colored stuff, magnesium, zinc, iodized fish, we said, nuts, anything with magnesium, organ meats, dairy, that kind of thing. Zinc is found in high protein foods typically. In fact, it's actually thought that our brains took a big evolutionary leap in terms of our evolutionary development, when we figured out how to cook food, because we could release the amino acids, and that helped the brain grow. So high protein foods, amino acids, that kind of thing, arginine, especially probably for the brain.
And so I have a client, has a teenage son who the eyes are consistently getting worse and worse and worse.
His eyesight,
the vision. But all tests and pictures show that the eyeballs themselves are very healthy.
it could be the muscle. He probably started over time. You get inflammation. It all happens to almost everybody. When there's inflammation around the muscles become weak and they don't adjust properly. It's probably a muscular thing if that's the case. There's people you can do muscle exercises, eye muscle exercises.
Okay. I will definitely look up some muscle exercises and recommend those.
There you
Beautiful.
go.
Awesome.
All right.
You're just
What
so
else?
awesome.
All right. Well, it's good to talk to you. And
You too.
I guess
Missed you
that's
on
it.
Friday.
Well, I'll be here this Friday. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Play the
So
music.
Wait, Pharmacist Ben.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yes.
Would creatine benefit?
Oh yeah, creatine. I forgot about creatine. Of course.
Would it benefit an Alzheimer's patient?
Oh heck yeah, absolutely, 100%, 100%. Alzheimer's patients should all do creatine. Yeah.
What's L what's that one?
L-glycine, methionine, arginine, glutamine.
L.
Arginine.
Give me half a second.
While he's trying to remember which L he's wanting to talk about. So the creatine monohydrate.
Same stuff.
Is that the creatine?
Yeah,
Same stuff we're looking for?
Yeah, that's the stuff you're looking for. That's the generic stuff. There's fancy schmancy ones. Creatine monohydrates, that's the most studied, most effective, cheapest. Everything else is mostly marketing.
Okay. So, like I've seen several here that's all it is, the creatine monohydrate. There's no extra things added.
Say it again. I didn't understand that. You saw what?
So it's just the pure creatine, the monohydrate.
That's the basic stuff.
And nothing else in it.
Yeah.
And I know you were talking about adding like vitamin
E. AJ was talking about that. He said, "What would you do with it?" And so
okay.
Mentioned a bunch of stuff. No, creatine monohydrate is like $50 a pound or something. It's really cheap.
Yeah, it's not expensive at all.
Yeah.
And you can find it that says gluten-free, non-GMO.
It's all gluten-free. It's all gluten-free. It's all non-GMO. That's marketing.
And GMP certified. What does that mean?
The factory that made it uses good manufacturing practices.
Okay.
Tyrosine.
Oh, that's an interesting one, tyrosine. What were you asking about it?
Brain health.
Um, it's kind of it's kind of like a stimulant, and it's used as a precursor for dopamine and neurotransmitters. Um, it's not like you take it; it's going to go right to your brain, though. Your body, it'll go to your liver, and your liver will disperse it. So sometimes when you say something's good for certain, is used by certain organs, doesn't mean supplementing is going to automatically help your brain. But yes, it is important in brain chemistry, absolutely. But when you eat it, it's not going to go right to your brain.
Pharmacist Ben, do you think we can get a stockpile of creatine and get a little side hustle going? You see me like doing
those days are gone.
Oh,
Side hustle days are gone, man.
Oh man.
Back then, I could buy a big 50-pound bag of it, put it into little plastic bags with a spoon or
with a
and
spoon too.
Not a spoon. It wasn't a spoon. It was one of those. I forget what you call. I don't know what you call them. Like the scoops, like a scoop. And I would scoop them into plastic bags, seal them up, and just put a little sticker on the outside and go drive around, sell them to gyms.
Okay, we mentioned Alzheimer's, but what about ADHD? With the
ADHD is not really a metabolic issue, and I'm always hesitant to kind of. It could be a metabolic. Let me rephrase that. It's not going to hurt ADHD. Put it that way. But ADHD is not really it's not really an issue of deficiency in energy as much as energy that's not being regulated. And so vitamins are going to be more appropriate because they control the way energy is spread around. Creatine acts like a source of energy. It's a little bit different, but it's not going to hurt. However, like I was saying earlier, kids usually they don't need supplements as much as adults do, but it wouldn't hurt a kid. I mean, you could try it.
More you don't think ADHD is a sugar issue?
Yeah, it could be a sugar issue, exactly. But that's regulatory. That's not pure energy.
B1, so they need B vitamins?
All the B vitamins, especially B1. But yes, all the B vitamins, absolutely. That's what I would think. For ADHD, high doses of B vitamins. And not eating foods that deplete the body of B vitamins.
Sugar.
What
else?
What else not to eat?
What else depletes?
Depletes the B vitamins?
Yes, sir.
Stress. The B vitamins help you handle stressors, toxins, excitotoxins. The B vitamins are the vitamins that work in the mitochondria. Remember, the mitochondria is the energy factories. So the B vitamins support energy production in terms of channeling it into the mitochondria and getting ATP out the other end. Any stressor on the body is going to require more of that process. Sugar is the most important one. Fried fats, another one. Toxins, excitotoxins, MSG.
Becca loves when you say stay away from sugar. It's just like
she's all about it.
Like,
hey, look,
trying to get rid of my fun.
I'm a sugar junkie. I'm going to own up right to it. It's hardwired. It's hardwired into your brain. It's very difficult. That helps a lot. A lot. Absolutely, it helps a lot. And also, protein helps, and chia seeds help. There's a lot of things you can do to hack into it, but if you don't go out of your way to hack into it, it's very easy to get into the sugar thing. I have to fight off sugar cravings all the time, personally. And bread is sugar, and potatoes are sugar. I love chopping up a bunch of onions, taking a baked potato that I've pre-baked, chopping it up and sticking it in with a bunch of butter and making onions and potatoes. I love that. Absolutely love that. That's pure sugar almost, especially as it's, So
if I don't put it in my mouth, I have no problem staying away from it.
Yeah,
but
how about the smell?
Little bit.
Oh yeah, once you start.
But yeah, no,
it's
stay away from starches, sugars, all those things. But I wanted to go back to your B vitamins and stress. So if you're under a lot of stress and it's affecting your...
Before you go into that, stress can be both mental and psychological and physical.
Okay, both.
Both, yes.
Both.
Yes.
Can it cause dizziness?
Sure. Can stress cause dizziness?
Yeah.
Well,
a drop in the B vitamins.
depends on how significantly they drop. Usually you have enough B vitamins that shouldn't cause dizziness. Dizziness is a whole other thing. Dizziness is a major regulatory imbalance. It's
Imbalance.
It's a major regulatory imbalance. Usually, well, it could be caused by a lot of things, but one of the causes of dizziness is when the adrenal glands aren't adjusting properly. Another cause is toxicity in the brain, or just toxicity in general. But no, probably be toxicity in the brain. It's just unless you had like 0 B vitamins, I suppose you could get dizzy. But
No,
most people
Tangy
aren't.
every day.
What? Yeah, most people aren't going to get dizzy from that. If it's somebody, dizziness is not. There's lots of reasons for dizziness, and you got to ask some questions. Is it the kind of dizziness that when they stand up out of a seated position? Is it the kind of dizziness that happens when they're lying down and they get the spins? Is the dizziness triggered by like movement, postural changes in your posture? I mean, there's a lot of things I would have to ask. What, just all of a sudden dizziness from the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, just overstressed, thinking, hey, I need to go get some de-stress. And on the way down the stairs, the second flight, almost to the bottom. Yeah, you get down really fast.
There's some serious stuff happening there. If that is the case, I would say there's some serious stuff happening, probably in the vasculature is where I would guess if that happened. But that would be significant. I want to know about some other symptoms if that happens. This person was just walking down the stairs and all of a sudden felt dizzy just for no reason.
Yes.
Stress.
Yeah. There's something up there. I'd want to know what else is going on. That's not just a deficiency of B vitamins.
Pharmacist Ben, last question. What time of day is it best to eat fruit?
Probably the morning is the best time if you're going to eat fruit. But you want to be really careful because if it spikes your blood sugar, you might get drowsy. Fructose in general is not as problematic for that as sucrose, but you can still get it from that. But fructose, the problem with fructose is it affects the liver. And so if you're eating just whole fruits, that's different. And try to keep things like grapefruit or berries, non-sweet ones. I say first thing in the morning, before you're doing stuff, before you're moving around. When you move around, you support the movement of sugar out of the blood. So before you move around.
So grapefruits or berries, those are the fruits that you recommend, not the apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Well, there's great stuff in an apple. It's unfortunate that through genetic technologies, we reduced the bitter compounds and increased the sweet compounds. And the bitter compounds where the medicine is. But still, there's probably good stuff in an apple too. A lot of it's in the peel. So eat the peel and maybe a little bit of the pulp. Okay?
Another fantastic session with our guy, Pharmacist Ben. Tomorrow night, Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. You will have Pharmacist Ben on, and you will be able to ask him some questions, but more importantly, listen to he and George talk. I'm going to bring on our co-host, and then we're going to say goodnight. Ruth Ellen, bringing you on. All right. Keely has already left us, but thank you for everything, Pharmacist Ben. And I'm going to see you Friday.
You will see me Friday for Bright Bites.
It's called Daily with Doc.
Oh, Daily Doc, that's right.
Pharmacist Friday on Daily with Doc.
Pharmacist Friday and Ben's Bites. Okay, that's right.
And the other show you do with Dave Michaels, what's that one called?
That was called The Mineral Way.
The Mineral Way. So you just got all over the place. And what is the name of the business that you run? What's that website?
Truthtreatments.com.
You run that business. And then what is the other one that's in the top right corner? What does that one say?
Where's that?
Top on the screen. Where we're right next to me.
Oh, Root Not Fruit.
Rootnotfruit.com. Rootnotfruit.com. All right.
All right. You got some Barry White for us? You got some Barry White?